Hello, I am Al from Trigon Farm, a market garden and flower farm just outside Holsworthy, Devon. We use no dig for all our growing beds, and because compost is such a hugely important part of the no dig system, I will be looking at transforming our kitchen scraps into compost using the Bokashi method. Bokashi composting is a two-step process, and I will show you how simple it is by using a commercial kit which you can find either online or on your local farmers shops. And I'll show you what this kit will have when you buy it and how to use it. This kit comes with two buckets. These buckets are quite important because they create a very airtight system, and they also have a tap where we can take all the liquids out from the system once they start accumulating inside. This is the box. And you can see the price as well. If you're in the UK, you would be paying £51.72 for something like this. Of course, you can make your own at home, but I'll show you exactly how this looks like. So this is very airtight because our Bokashi grain will need an environment without oxygen. So inside we will have the Bokashi grain. In here we have the grain, which has a lot of beneficial microorganisms, including yeasts and lactic acid bacteria. We have a scoop to add the grains to our kitchen scraps. We also have an instruction booklet. We use this to press down all the scraps to create a very tight seal. And this is the base, which will have holes in it to let the liquid drain. I can see inside. There's the tap over there, which we can empty after a few days. In a nutshell, this is how it looks like, and we will start filling it up with our kitchen scraps and adding the Bokashi grain, and we'll see how easy it is to set up and what results we have at the end. So we are going to use the bucket for this first step of the process, where anaerobic bacteria and yeasts will start fermenting the food waste we put in this bucket. That is why we have a lid that closes perfectly well and doesn't let any extra oxygen going in there and killing our beneficial bacteria. So the first step will be a fermentation. The second step, which I will show you in this video as well, will happen outside in the ground. So for the first step, we are going to take our kitchen scraps and start layering. We start with a layer of kitchen scraps and then a layer of Bokashi grain, and we repeat that until we finish our scraps. we can put here almost anything we have in our food waste bin, including little bones, including fish. You can even put calcium components like eggshells. So we've done one layer. You can put some tissue, but not too much. And we have another scoop in here which we can use. Put a nice layer of the grains. They smell quite nice. If you ever smell the leftovers of wine fermentation, or if you have left your bread for too long and start fermenting again, this is how it smells like. So we put some grains and we continue with our kitchen scraps. As I said, there's some eggshells, some coffee. You can put some tea in here as well. Banana peels. Everything goes, as long as you don't have big bones or material that will be harder to break down. This is almost full. I'm adding one more layer of the Bokashi grain on the top. Make sure it's nice and even. And press really hard, making sure all the air pockets are gone. And this is it. This is the first step. All we have to do now is cover the bucket. This will click into position and will keep the air out. And this will stay away from direct sunlight for 2 weeks. Every 4 or 5 days we can open the tap at the bottom and we can see if any liquid comes. This liquid can be added to your water for the plants you already have in the ground, or just water the new beds you're forming. This will add extra nutrients to the beds that plants can use later on. I'm swapping the buckets. This is the one I prepared 2 weeks ago. I drained some liquid already. I'm trying to see if there's any more left in here. This is it. This is the liquid I've got left now, which I will add to a bucket of water and use it to water the existing beds we already have in the farm. And now I'm going to open the lid. Oh yes, this is the smell I was expecting. This is really it's a really strong smell. If you can see, the leftovers look about the same, but they started the fermentation process. They're releasing a lot of vinegary type of acids, and they smell like proper pickled onions or any pickling material. They smell really strong. That means our process started the right way, and now we can go and do the second step of the Bokashi compost. The compost we usually buy is mainly green waste compost. It might have additions like peat, which we clearly don't want. Sand, again, I don't want sand in my compost, or any other traces that for us may not be the best choice. This will be the most amazing choice. This will have all sorts of elements because you have a variety of components here. The mainstream compost that we buy will only have green waste, so that's different tree branches and bushes that are cut during the season. They get to a processing facility, and this is what you get at the end. A nice compost, but compared to these is a lower quality. This will have your banana peels, this will have your egg shells and all the other food waste you are using on a daily basis, so will have a lot more nutrients at the end. So I'm going to bury this in the ground, making sure that it's all covered, and the second step of the process will continue there, where all the microorganisms and other living organisms are invited to finish up the composting process. This will take another 4 weeks, maybe a bit longer if it's colder outside, but this is the final step. We're just going to put it in the ground and let nature do its business and finish up our compost. I have here a hugelkultur bed I made last year, and this is where I'm going to place all the kitchen scraps from the first stage of the Bokashi composting system, and I will cover it up with more compost. Let's get started. this is mid-March, which means that in another 4 to 6 weeks I will be able to plant straight in the compost, in a new compost I added to the Bokashi leftovers, and that will have enough food for the plants for this season. I hope you enjoyed this little video, and I'll see you next time with more developments here on the farm.